Hi, I'm Kamna, and you're watching AppianLIVE Expert Cut. In this Appian World Edition, we brought the experts to Miami to discuss industry events, trends, and everything else executives need to know. Today, I'm here with members of our Life Sciences executive team.
Hi Kamna, I'm Evie. I'm the VP of Global Life Sciences at Appian.
Good to have you today.
Hi Kamna, I'm Stefan Prebil. I'm the industry practice lead in Europe in pharma.
So there are a lot of life sciences events happening right now from the Drug Information Association, or DIA. DIA Europe was in Basel, Switzerland just last week, and then DIA North America, the global conference, is in June in Boston. So based on what you saw in Basel, what trends are already showing up in the life sciences space?
Wow, I think what we're seeing is a lot of introduction of disruption in the space. New companies coming in, a lot of technology companies. Part of what struck me was when you walk the exhibit at DIA Europe, there were a lot of less consulting firms, much more technology companies offering various different solutions, various different capabilities in the space, including, of course, moving into areas like AI, machine learning, etc. But from that perspective, I think it was amazing to actually see kind of the trend going in the direction of pharma finally opening up to bringing in some of the companies that can help them propel into the future. So,
I think the pharma industry is facing a lot of challenges because of the increasing requirements in the environment, in the regulation, in the market space, and on the other hand, they are highly regulated, so they have a lot of pressure to transform, to make themselves more efficient for the future. Otherwise, they will run into difficulties because of the rising costs and at the same time the lowering income from their products. So there is a lot of need to transform their business processes.
Yeah, what I'm seeing also is that the change in the makeup of the population, right? So our elders are now starting to get, older as they are, right? But they are not that savvy with technology. On the other hand, the next generation coming in, my daughters, they actually expect to have all the information available to them about drugs, everything they're taking. They are less concerned with privacy, so they share their information, and they expect that the pharma company that produces the products, it's going to be less about the product, more about them, more about the customer. So patients are being brought into a lot of decisions where we haven't had patients involved before. Today, you can't move ahead without actually bringing patient advocacy into the discussion early on during the development of a drug.
Right.
And that's the big change that we're seeing.
Yeah, all about the patient, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and also in the market space, in the end, when you market the products, just 10 years ago, the customer was perceived by pharma industry as the medical doctor or the pharmacist. And there's a major shift ongoing that really the patient will become the consumer not only of the products but also the customer of the pharmaceutical industry.
So how are you seeing technology like intelligent automation really affect key areas of life sciences, whether it be research and development, regulatory operations, even pharmacovigilance, all of these factors?
So there's really two aspects to that. One is, of course, the data. The other one is related to process, right? So data and the availability of large, big data databases, the collection of data during clinical trials, the collection of data in the real space and commercial space where we can collect information from patients, from physicians, from hospitals, from very different sources. That is becoming much more available. And with that, the ability to actually harvest, not just harvest, but mine the data, learn about what does the data actually tell us. That's becoming critical for life sciences and be able to feed that back in the loop. But the other piece to that is the process related to data, right? So it's, the data is one thing, but what do you do with it? How do you collect it properly? How do you make sure it's valid, but it's not giving you some signals that you didn't actually anticipate? And how do you then provide, that insight based on what you learn back into the process of developing drug, developing clinical trials that support the outcome that you're actually looking to achieve, and do it in a valid way that really tells you and gives you information that is helpful to drive continuous development of the drug in the future. So, yeah.
Yeah, Stefan?
Yeah, I think also in the area of information for medical doctors or patients, it becomes critical to have this different organized, because the medical data doubles every 2 years. So nobody is available or able to read all this new information. So you need smart processes, smart systems that really collect the data which is of interest for your questions instead of just providing thousands of documents where you have then to search the information which is really relevant for you.
Yeah, and the other piece that technology is enabling today is supplementing or helping the doctor, so becoming a tool or even a replacement to physicians. As an example, last week we got the first approval of the first AI capability to support macular degeneration. So based on pictures taken of the back of your retina, of your eye, a machine learning, so a robot can actually help the doctor decide whether there is a condition or not.
What can life sciences companies expect in the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think first of all we participate in all the important conferences on a global scale and participate in the discussion for that need for change in the industry. But I think the biggest step which is just in front of the door or already there is new technologies like Internet of Things, like robotics, like artificial intelligence or augmented reality, which really helps to increase the speed of development processes, or decision processes, which you can combine or integrate into Appian. That's really the big next step in technology, which will help pharma.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is that those are very nice keywords, right? To use AI, machine learning, robotics, and they're very fashionable right now. But the key is really to make it available to the mass of employees and folks, and to make it available to even patients and doctors that are out there, right? So democratizing it to the point that you can actually put machine learning capabilities in the hands of a scientist in the lab, rather than have to have a big IT group come in, do a big project. That's the real key. And when we can get to that point where we can make that available to individuals, when it really becomes transformative within the company, I think that's the real area where we'll see some advances in productivity, and we'll really see some ability to benefit and reap the value.
Exciting times for pharma, right?
Very much.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kamna.
This was AppianLIVE Expert Cut. Thanks for watching.